Unaffordable housing, a grim reality that Canadians have been grappling with for the past several years now. This housing crisis has spread far and wide to just about every major city in Canada and other big cities around the world, such as San Francisco and Sydney. Meanwhile, Tokyo, the largest city in Japan and one of the most densely populated cities in the world, has managed to avoid this crisis. In today's video, we will explore Japan's unusual solution to the global housing crisis and what Canada can learn from Japan. The Japanese have implemented a system marked by effective governance and centralized decision-making, distancing themselves from the obstacles posed by local governments. By discarding the NIMBY movement, Japan is paving the way for affordable housing solutions. For those seeking rational solutions, the lessons from Japan provide a valuable blueprint, urging Canada to reconsider its strategies and glean insights from their successful experiences. In Tokyo, a city of almost 40 million people, housing isn't a big problem like in many other large cities in the world. Rent and property prices in Tokyo are quite affordable, earning it the title of the last big city with affordable housing. In general, living in Tokyo will cost you around 120,000 to 250,000 yen every month. At the time of making this video, that's the equivalent to about 815 United States dollars to about 1,700 United States dollars. This affordability is not by chance, but stems from Japan's distinctive approach to urban planning, setting it apart from other countries. Tokyo is not only more budget-friendly than cities like Toronto, London, and New York, but also surpasses Shanghai and Beijing despite the lower average wages in the Chinese cities. It even outshines Singapore, known for its commendable affordable housing initiatives. The unique way Japanese cities are planned contributes to this financial advantage. Multiple factors differentiate Japanese urban planning from other places globally. Firstly, Japan holds the top spot in two specific areas. It has the world's highest inheritance tax and experiences more earthquakes than any other country. This leads to a distinct approach to urban planning and architecture, as houses in Japan face a higher risk of earthquake damage. Moreover, passing down a house to the next generation involves a hefty 50% inheritance tax. Consequently, real estate in Japan is viewed differently. Rather than being a long-lasting asset appreciating over time, houses are not built to last. People prefer not to reside in pre-owned buildings, resulting in a relatively short lifespan of around 30 years for most houses, after which they are typically replaced. When these homes are rebuilt, they can be replaced with more effective housing that better suits what the market needs at that time. The second factor is the regulatory environment, or rather the lack of it. This lack of regulations allow for more freedom and flexibility within Tokyo's housing market. With less regulation, housing can be built more quickly and more cost-effectively, while at the same time allows for the right type of housing to be built just about anywhere in Tokyo. For example, if more housing is needed in an area with single-family homes, there's little to no laws stopping developers from building an apartment building to address the housing needs of the city. On the other side, when developers in Canada aim to construct residential properties, they encounter numerous rules governing aspects such as parking spaces, maximum density, height, green spaces, and more. Adhering to these regulations makes building expensive and constructing dense housing becomes nearly impossible. This inefficiency in space usage is exacerbated by zoning regulations that often limit the types of housing that can be built. In Canada, restrictions limit the types of buildings, often permitting only one specific type, like single-family homes. This leads to the creation of extensive suburbs lacking necessary services. Conversely, in Tokyo, Japanese zoning laws promote mixed-use zones, allowing various housing types in one neighborhood. Buildings of different shapes, heights, and sizes can coexist, a concept not typically allowed in many places across Canada. Essentially, there's minimal regulation on how dense neighborhoods should be, parking requirements, or the appearance of buildings. Tokyo stands out due to its efficient use of space under Japanese zoning laws. Diverse housing structures can be constructed in relatively small areas, resulting in a variety of housing styles, unlike many places in Canada. Unlike the developed world, Tokyo and most Japanese cities do away with the NIMBYism, or not in my backyard. NIMBYism is described as when local residents actively oppose additional housing development in their local area by advocating for strict housing regulations. This absence of staunch opposition allows for a more flexible approach to urban development. Furthermore, housing decisions in Canada often rest with the local governments, but in Japan, these decisions are made at a centralized national level. Regional governments and local citizens have limited say in the matter. This centralized approach ensures decisions decisions consider the broader picture, focusing on providing sufficient housing for everyone rather than safeguarding specific interests in one area. Consequently, Japan's approach is more development-friendly. On the flip side, in Canada, it is crucial for individuals to verify the zoning suitability of a commercial property before making a purchase or lease. Commercial and industrial zoning regulations can be strict, necessitating a clear understanding of permissible activities at the prospective location. Each province and municipality in Canada has its own set of rules, regulations, and zoning bylaws. These bylaws dictate land use, building locations, permissible structures, and their designated purposes. Municipal bylaws encompass various aspects such as lot sizes, parking requirements, building heights, and setbacks. According to the recent housing supply report from the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, the level of new construction is insufficient to bridge the long-term housing supply gap. In simpler terms, Canada needs to simplify the process of constructing various types of homes. This can be achieved through housing regulation reforms, particularly by easing zoning laws and simplifying approval procedures. Such changes would facilitate increased housing construction without resorting to controversial proposals like encroaching on protected lands, such as the Greenbelt. Canada's population growth, ranking first among the G7 nations at an annual rate of 2.9%, is primarily driven by immigration, accounting for 98% of the growth. The influx of new residents combined with millennials and Gen Z forming independent households has heightened the demand for housing. Zoning laws, however, act as barriers to constructing higher density housing in high-demand urban areas, while land use restrictions impede housing development altogether. This limitation is especially noticeable in areas designated for commercial use, where demand for commercial space is declining and the need for residential housing is on the rise. The number of potential housing units is deliberately constrained from the outset due to these design restrictions. Plus, the long approval process entangled with bureaucratic hurdles adds to the challenge. According to the World Bank, obtaining approvals and building permits to construct a warehouse in Canada takes an astonishing 249 days, even without zoning changes. NIMBYism, a growing concern in Canada, is exacerbating the existing housing crisis. Residents deeply invested in their communities desire a voice in determining what is built and where. Their concerns range from potential shadows cast by new condo developments to the capacity of local services, such as hospitals and schools, to accommodate the growing population. According to a November survey commissioned by non-profit Habitat for Humanity Canada, 54% of Canadians see NIMBY sentiment as a major obstacle to establishing affordable housing in neighborhoods. On top of that, nearly 3 in 4 individuals express worries about how affordable housing might impact property values and the neighborhood's character. In stark contrast, Japan doesn't exhibit such widespread NIMBYism. Overcoming zoning laws, bureaucratic obstacles, and NIMBYism is crucial for Canada to effectively address its housing crisis. The government acknowledges that a substantial influx of immigrants could be a key solution. Economists argue that immigration can alleviate the housing shortage by bringing in skilled workers such as carpenters, plumbers, and electricians who possess the necessary skills needed for home construction. Additionally, facilitating the licensing or accreditation process for newcomers already in Canada would streamline their entry into skilled trades, contributing to resolving the crisis. Recognizing these multifaceted challenges, the Canadian government and experts advocate for comprehensive reforms, emphasizing the need to not only increase housing supply, but also to address societal factors contributing to the crisis. In Toronto, a city grappling with severe housing shortages, an astonishing 70% of land is designated for single-family housing. To address this challenge, relaxing density restrictions such as those associated with single-family zoning and minimum lot size requirements would create numerous opportunities for expanding the housing supply. Moreover, higher density housing options including smaller houses, semi-detached and townhouses are not only more cost-effective due to their smaller scale, but also demand fewer resources during construction. Enabling developers to proceed with greater ease translates to heightened housing supply, mitigating shortages and alleviating market pressures on prices. Reforming existing regulations plays a pivotal role in expediting the development process. Currently, it takes developers over 9 months to secure approval and building permits for numerous apartment buildings in Ontario. In British Columbia, this process can stretch up to 2 years. Canada can learn crucial lessons from Japan's effective response to housing challenges. Japan's success lies in a proactive approach, with centralized decision-making moving away from local government constraints. constraints. By adopting Japan's model, relaxing density restrictions, expediting regulations, Canada can boost housing supply, improve affordability, and overcome obstacles posed by the Not in My Backyard movement. If you like this video and want to learn more about Canada, check out this video here. And if this video brought value to you, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing the video. Thanks for watching.